a group of students lounging on the marble steps threw dismissive looks. At the head of the gathering sat Jackson Prescott, his blonde hair a careless halo around a smirk that spoke of absolute confidence. "Hey," Jackson called, voice carrying like a gauntlet thrown. "Didn't know the Nguyen twins were still in stock." A ripple of laughter followed, sharp and cold. Leah's fingers clenched the strap of her worn leather satchel, her knuckles paling. Maya felt her pulse quicken, a familiar simmer of anger rising in her chest. But their father's words echoed in her mind, "Control is strength, never let them see you crack." They continued, heads held high, each step measured and unhurried. The path curved past the fountain where bronze cherubs spouted water, past banners proclaiming tradition and excellence. None of it felt inviting, it felt like a gauntlet designed to remind newcomers exactly where they stood. "Twins," someone muttered behind them, as if the word itself were an insult. Not even original. Another laugh, low and derisive. Maya's jaw twitched. She kept her lips pressed together, slow breathing to keep her heart from pounding in her throat. Beside her, Leah met her gaze, steady, unspoken solidarity. They had trained together for years, practiced kata and forms under their father's strict eye. But here, it wasn't a dojo, it was a stage for ridicule. They rounded the final bend and faced the grand oak doors of Barton Hall. The carved relief of a soaring hawk above them seemed almost mocking. As they stepped inside, the hush of the entrance hall swallowed them. Polished marble floors reflected their silhouettes, twin shadows moving in perfect sync. Students gathered in small clusters along the hallway, conversation flickering in their eyes before dying at the sight of the new arrivals. Some faces showed mild curiosity, most held flat indifference or cold amusement. A teacher glanced up from a clipboard, called out their names without meeting their eyes, then turned back to paperwork as though they were little more than names on a roster. Maya inhaled the crisp, air-conditioned chill. It prickled her skin but could not quench the fire igniting in her chest. She thought of her father's final words before they left home. "They will test you. They will try to push you off your feet. But remember who you are, and whose you are." Leah's whisper reached her ears, "We stick together. No matter what." Maya nodded slightly. She could feel the weight of every stare, every whispered insult. Yet beneath it all, she felt something stronger, a bond of sisterhood, honed by discipline and love, ready to meet whatever storms lay ahead. They passed through the vestibule into the main corridor, the morning light streaming through tall arched windows. Each step echoed like a heartbeat in the vast silence. The message was clear: Hawthorne Ridge Academy was not built for them. And that was exactly why they were here. Speech balloon, where are you tuning in from? Let me know in the comments. The twin sisters moved through the hushed corridors of Barton Hall, their footsteps soft but unwavering. Every polished tile seemed to amplify the tension in the air, the kind of tension you feel just before a storm breaks. Maya's heart thudded as she reached for the heavy oak door marked Room 213. She paused, glancing at Leah. In that moment, neither spoke. They shared a breath of solidarity, a memory of afternoons spent sparring in their family's garage dojo, the scrape of GI on mat and the echo of their father's disciplined voice, confidence without arrogance, strength with control. Inside the classroom, sunlight slanted through tall windows, illuminating rows of antique desks and a single smartboard at the front. The teacher, Mrs. Eaton, a silver-haired woman whose calm mannerisms didn't mask her cool reserve, glanced up and said, Nguyen, welcome. Please sit." Her tone was polite, but her eyes skimmed past them as if they were intruding on a place of privilege. Jackson Prescott and his clique sat 3 rows back, draped over their seats like they owned the place. At the sight of the twins, Jackson straightened his posture, the faintest curl of a mocking grin at his lips. Maya chose an aisle seat near the window, Leah sat beside her. They unpacked their notebooks with deliberate calm, savoring the first sharp scratch of pen on paper. Yet every glance their way sent prickles of wariness down their spines. As Mrs. Eaton launched into the syllabus, Shakespeare, advanced calculus, Latin roots, Maya felt Jackson's stare burn through her concentration. When the teacher posed a question about thematic motifs in Macbeth, Jackson answered first, his voice loud and boastful. "It's obvious," he said, turning so everyone could see him, "that only old money kids truly appreciate real literature." Laughter rippled around him. Maya's chest tightened with anger, but she held her tongue, recalling her father's lesson, patience is power. During the group break, Leah rose to fetch water. As she passed Jackson's desk, he absent-mindedly extended his foot, hooking it around her bag strap. The strap snarled and Leah stumbled, the bag spilling its contents, textbooks, pens, a photograph of their late grandmother, across the aisle. "Oh, sorry," Jackson said, voice dripping with mock concern. "Didn't see you there." His friends burst into laughter. A knot of shame and fury twisted inside Leah, but she bent down to gather her things without looking up. Maya locked eyes with him. The air between them crackled. Jackson shrugged as if daring her to react. Instead, Maya clicked her pen twice, chest rising and falling with measured breaths. By lunch, news of the foothook had spread. In the cafeteria's gleaming hall, the Nguyen's found an empty table against a far wall. They sat, backs to the wall, scanning the sea of polished faces. A half-eaten salad sat between them. Neither spoke, each lost in their own storm of emotion, hurt, anger, doubt, yet comforted by the other's presence. Then Jackson and two of his sidekicks swaggered over. He laid a condescending hand on Leah's half-empty salad tray. "Hope you don't mind," he smirked, yanking it toward him. "Guess you can't stomach real food." The tray rattled, lettuce tumbling onto the terrazzo floor. Leah shot to her feet, eyes blazing. Maya moved in front of her sister as a barrier. "Back off," Maya said, voice calm but firm. Jackson smirked and shrugged, as if dismissing a minor annoyance. "Or what? You'll karate chop me?" A hush fell over the cafeteria. Students froze mid-bite. Leah's fists clenched at her sides. Maya held her ground, remembering every hour of training, every mantra about control and respect. Jackson leaned in, his breath heavy with arrogance. "Why don't you two just go train your little moves somewhere else?" At that moment, something in Leah cracked. She stepped forward, face flushed. "What's your problem?" she demanded, voice trembling with both fear and fury. "Why can't you leave us alone?" Jackson's smile faltered for the first time. Behind him, his friends exchanged uneasy glances. Maya felt a surge of pride at Leah's courage, even as she braced for retaliation. But Jackson only laughed, a hollow, brittle sound. "Problem," he echoed. "The problem's that you don't belong here." Without another word, he turned and stalked away, his friends following. The cafeteria remained silent, the only sound the scrape of chairs as students shifted in their seats. Leah sank back down beside Maya, tears shining in her eyes. Maya placed a steadying hand on her sister's shoulder. "You did fine," Maya whispered. "They'll think twice next time." As the lunch bell rang, the sisters stood together. They moved toward the door, heads high. Neither knew what tomorrow would bring, but they knew one truth: they would face it as they always had, together, unbowed, undefeated. Have you ever stood up for yourself when everyone else stayed silent? Share your experience below. That evening, Maya and Leah lay side by side in their shared room at the Ridgewood dormitory, the soft glow of their bedside lamps casting long shadows on the walls. Leah stared at the ceiling, lips pressed tight. "Do you think we overreacted today?" she whispered, voice small. Maya turned onto her side, propping her head on her hand. "No," she said firmly. "You stood up for yourself. We both did." Her own voice trembled with fatigue and lingering adrenaline. "But this place, it's not just about books and grades. It's about power. Leah exhaled, frustration melting into fear. I hate feeling different. She tucked a strand of dark hair behind her ear. I came here hoping to start fresh, but every time I take a step forward, they push me two back. Maya's heart ached at her sister's pain. She reached out, brushing Leah's hand. I know. She paused, choosing her words. Dad said we're meant for storms. Not because we like chaos, but because we can handle it. In the silence that followed, Leah closed her eyes, letting Maya's confidence seep into her bones. Okay, she breathed. What's next? The next morning dawned cold and clear. Before the sun could warm the campus quadrangle, the sisters slipped into the old boathouse-turned-dojo behind the athletics fields. The leathery scent of mats and the steady tick of the wall clock grounded them. As they warmed up, each strike and block felt like a release, anger transformed into purpose. Their father, Daniel Nguyen, watched from the sidelines, arms folded. After they completed their forms in perfect synchrony, he nodded once. You held your ground, he said softly. Now, we sharpen your edge. He led them through drills that tested their focus, striking targets while blindfolded, maintaining balance on one foot as he shifted unexpected weights onto them. With every correction, his voice was calm but insistent, eyes forward. Heart steady. Fear only weakens resolve. By noon, Maya and Leah emerged from the boathouse renewed. The campus lay quiet in the dim midday light, but they walked the quad with new purpose. Maya's thoughts turned to Jackson Prescott and his clique. They had provoked fear, hoping to see them falter. Instead, they'd find two sisters who refused to break. As they entered Barton Hall, the halls felt smaller, no longer a gauntlet but a proving ground. Maya and Leah paused outside Mrs. Eaton's office, the sun slipping behind the Gothic turrets of Barton Hall. Their hearts thumped in unison. This was the moment they'd teased themselves about for days, reporting Jackson's harassment. Yet fear still flickered in their chests. Leah gripped Maya's hand. We've got this, Maya murmured, recalling every lesson on courage they'd learned in the boathouse. Inside, Mrs. Eaton looked up from her desk, surprise flickering in her silver eyes as she saw them enter together. Sisters, she said softly. What can I do for you? Maya cleared her throat. Sir Prescott tripped Leah in class, she began, voice steady. She handed over the notes they'd both taken, detailed accounts of the cafeteria tray incident and the hallway foothook. Leah added her own account, cheeks flushed but chin high. Mrs. Eaton studied the pages, then looked up. Thank you for coming forward, she said, her tone warm but firm. No one should feel unsafe here. I'll take it to Headmaster Wallace immediately. Relief blossomed in their chests, yet they stayed for one more thing. Leah spoke next, voice wavering only slightly. Some students witnessed it, but no one spoke up. I don't want anyone else to feel alone. Mrs. Eaton nodded, respect in her gaze. I'll arrange a community meeting. Witnesses will be invited to share, anonymously, if they prefer. As they left the office, ankle-deep in sunlight, they almost collided with Emma Carter, a quiet girl from Maya's history class. Emma's usual downcast gaze was steady now. I saw what happened, she said. I'll speak up. Leah's eyes widened. Thank you. Emma smiled, small, sincere. You two deserve better. Standing together in the corridor, two sisters and one newfound ally, their shoulders uncurled. The hall no longer felt like a gauntlet but a stage where truth would finally be heard. They exchanged a glance, a spark of hope passing between them. The storm wasn't over, but for the first time, they weren't standing alone. Over the next 2 days, word of the upcoming community meeting hummed through Hawthorne Ridge Academy like an electric current. In quiet hallways and under shaded benches, clusters of students exchanged anxious whispers. Maya and Leah felt eyes track them with a new mixture of curiosity and unease, some filled with guilt, others with cautious solidarity. By late afternoon on the appointed day, the auditorium's velvet curtains were drawn. Rows of mahogany chairs stood empty under the soft glow of chandeliers. Mrs. Eaton appeared on stage first, her composed presence a calm beacon. She gestured toward two podiums, one for faculty, one for student witnesses. When Headmaster Wallace entered, the room settled into a hush so complete you could hear the soft click of a clock. He began with a measured nod, acknowledging the gravity of the gathering. "We are here because every member of this academy deserves respect and safety," he said. "Today, we listen and we learn." The first to step up was Emma Carter, voice steady. She recounted Jackson's mocking laughter, Leah's humiliation in the cafeteria, and the swelling silence that allowed cruelty to go unchecked. As she spoke, Maya noticed faces in the crowd soften, frowns unknit, eyes avert tears or flicker with regret. Next came a shy sophomore, Marco Diaz, who described the hallway foothook. His admission that he'd laughed with the rest weighed on him visibly. His apology was genuine, his voice low but clear as he vowed to do better. One by one, more students followed, a couple who admitted they'd turned away, one who swore they'd make amends. When it was Jackson Prescott's turn, he remained seated. The empty podium before him loomed like a silent accusation. Maya felt a tight knot in her chest but held Leah's hand under her seat. They both knew some battles required patience. Finally, Mrs. Eaton closed the floor. The headmaster rose again. "Thank you for your honesty," he said, his voice gentle but resolute. "We will address every action, both culpability and courage. This academy's strength comes from accountability." In the days that followed, consequences unfolded swiftly but fairly. Jackson and his friends received mandatory restorative sessions, disciplinary probation, and were required to volunteer alongside Maya and Leah in a new peer mentoring program. Teachers who had been silent were guided through sensitivity workshops. Campus signs declaring "respect in action" dotted the common areas. Through it all, Maya and Leah found themselves greeted with nods in the corridor, genuine greetings replacing guarded stares. They even shared a quiet smile with Jackson one morning, no words, just the unspoken understanding that things had changed. Each step they took across the quad no longer felt burdened by invisible weights. Instead, the path ahead seemed brighter, a testament to their courage and the community's willingness to grow. As autumn leaves drifted down around them and dusk painted the sky in soft pinks, Maya turned to Leah and whispered, "We did it." Leah smiled back, eyes alight. Together. That Saturday afternoon, a chill wind rattled the maple leaves along Maplewood Lane as Maya and Leah returned home from the academy's weekend study group. They found their front door ajar, a sliver of darkness yawning into their warm hallway. "Did you leave it unlocked?" Leah whispered, heart hammering. Maya shook her head. They stepped inside together, senses on alert. Before they could call for their father, angry voices spilled down the corridor. Sandra and Greg Prescott stood in the living room, faces flushed with outrage. Sandra's designer purse swung at her side, Greg's broad shoulders blocked the doorway. "You people have ruined our son's life." Sandra spat, voice quivering. Maya's pulse spiked. She took a step forward, but Leah gripped her arm. From the kitchen doorway, Daniel Nguyen appeared, tall, composed, eyes smoldering with quiet fury. "I think you've come to the wrong address," he said, voice calm but steel strong. Greg lunged forward with a clenched fist. Time seemed to slow as Daniel's body moved with the precision of a master martial artist. He intercepted Greg's punch at the wrist, twisted him gently aside, and guided him off balance so that Greg stumbled into the plush armchair. Sandra shrieked and advanced, but Daniel's gaze met hers like a wall of granite. He took one measured step forward, catching her wrist in a controlled grip that left no question of who held the power. "This is my home," he said quietly. "Leave now, or you will answer to the law." The Prescotts both froze, shock and shame rippling across their faces. Neither struggled as Daniel released them and reached for the phone. Maya exhaled in relief as Sandra turned on her heel and stormed out, Greg trailing behind, shoulders hunched. Leah slid against the wall, legs trembling. Daniel rounded on his daughters, concern softening his stern mien. "Are you both all right?" Maya and Leah exchanged a glance, then nodded. "We are," Maya said, voice firm. "Thanks to you." Daniel offered the faintest of smiles. "No one threatens my girls." Outside, the autumn wind carried away the last echoes of conflict. Inside, the Nguyen household settled into a hush of triumph and unity, proof that together, they could face any storm. Monday dawned crisp and clear, as if Hawthorne Ridge itself had been washed clean by the weekend's storms. Maya and Leah stepped onto the quad beneath a canopy of amber leaves, feeling the curious warmth of nods and greetings instead of cold stares. Even Jackson Prescott offered a brief, awkward wave, his expression guarded, but genuine enough to show that something fundamental had shifted. Their first stop was the new peer mentoring corner, where a small group of freshmen waited uncertainly. The twins settled onto the polished wooden bench, beckoning the newcomers with easy smiles. One by one, the young students approached, eyes bright with relief at finding allies in a school that had once felt impenetrable. Leah guided them through the lab schedule for the week, Maya shared study tips for Latin roots. Each question the freshman asked was met with patience and encouragement, turning anxiety into confidence. As they spoke, Maya caught sight of Emma Carter sketching quietly beside them, offering a reassuring nod. Solidarity now had more faces than just theirs. Later, as the afternoon sun glittered on the courtyard fountain, Maya found Jackson lingering alone near the oak tree. "Look," he said quietly, voice low, "I'm sorry, for everything." His gaze dropped to the fallen leaves at his feet. Maya studied him for a moment, recalling her father's words about strength and forgiveness. "It takes courage to admit when you're wrong," she replied, extending her hand. Jackson shook it, a small, honest gesture that spoke louder than any apology. At the base of the oak, Leah joined them, 3 figures bathed in golden light, linked by respect born of conflict and resolution. Above, the hawk relief on Barton Hall seemed almost hopeful. As the bell rang, the twins walked back side by side, ready for whatever lay ahead, because they had learned that true strength isn't just about standing firm, but about lifting others with you. By midweek, the atmosphere at Hawthorne Ridge Academy had shifted from uneasy truce to genuine camaraderie. Inspired by the peer mentoring corner's success, Maya approached Coach Ramirez with an idea, a self-defense workshop for any student who felt vulnerable. Within hours, the old gymnasium was cleared of mats and reconfigured with training pads, jump ropes, and folding chairs. That Friday afternoon, a diverse crowd filtered in, freshmen who'd never held a martial arts GI, juniors curious about the twins' reputation, and even a few teachers quietly observing from the sidelines. Maya and Leah stood at the center mat, their GIs crisp, heart steady. "Welcome," Maya began, voice carrying in the high ceiling. "Today isn't about fighting, it's about confidence." She demonstrated a simple wrist release technique, then guided students through slow, deliberate practice. Leah moved among the groups, offering corrections on stance and footwork, her encouragement warm and patient. At first, some students hesitated, shoulders tight, eyes darting as they faced partners. But as the twins walked among them, smiling, correcting, praising, nervous energy melted into eager participation. Jackson Prescott, to everyone's surprise, joined at the back, determined to learn. When his turn came, Maya gently adjusted his grip and nodded. He managed the technique on his own, and the room broke into genuine applause. When the workshop ended, the gym buzzed with laughter and animated chatter. Coach Ramirez stepped forward, clapping. "A remarkable session," she said, her eyes bright. "You two have done more than teach throws and blocks, you've built trust." Maya and Leah exchanged a satisfied glance. They had transformed fear into empowerment, isolation into community. As students filed out, some lingering to ask follow-up questions, Maya felt the weight of everything they'd endured lift a little more. That evening, as the sunset bathed Barton Hall's stone facade in rose and gold, the Nguyen sisters walked the quad side by side. Leaves drifted down around them, carried on a gentle breeze that felt like renewal itself. Leah turned to her sister. "We started as newcomers in a world that wanted to keep us out," she said softly. "Now, we've opened doors for everyone." Maya nodded, warmth in her chest. "And we'll keep them open." Spring arrived with a burst of warmth, coaxing blossoms from the magnolia trees that lined the quad. Hawthorne Ridge Academy prepared for its annual Unity Day, a tradition meant to celebrate diversity, and this year, Maya and Leah found themselves at the heart of the planning committee. They spent mornings in the student lounge, sketching banner designs and coordinating booths, calligraphy by the language clubs, a tasting table of international snacks, and a mural station where every student could paint a message of acceptance. Jackson Prescott joined them, sleeves rolled up, no trace of the old arrogance, only earnest enthusiasm. On the morning of the event, the quad sparkled under a clear blue sky. Colorful streamers draped between lampposts, and a gentle breeze carried the mingled scents of jasmine and fresh grass. Maya stood at the microphone, her voice steady as she welcomed everyone. "We've weathered storms together, now let's build bridges." Leah released the ribbon at her side, and a shower of confetti rained down. Freshmen cheered, teachers clapped, and even the most reserved upperclassmen smiled. Throughout the day, students of every background mingled at the booths, learning basic phrases in Swahili, sampling Vietnamese banh mi, or leaving notes of encouragement on the mural. At the snack table, Leah watched as Jackson helped a freshman navigate her tray of unfamiliar treats. Their light laughter spoke of genuine connection, a far cry from that first tense greeting in the hallway. Maya wandered to the mural wall and added her own brushstroke, a golden sun rising above the silhouette of two intertwined hawks, symbolizing strength in unity. Leah joined her, and together they stepped back to admire the growing masterpiece. As the sun dipped low, the headmaster took the stage once more. He praised the twins. "Maya and Leah Nguyen have reminded us what it means to stand together." A ripple of applause swept the crowd, hearts full of new hope. Walking home later, Maya felt the warmth of the day still glowing in her chest. Leah squeezed her hand. "We did more than survive," she said. "We helped everyone thrive." The end-of-year ceremony dawned bright and clear, sunlight dancing across the manicured lawns of Hawthorne Ridge Academy. Rows of white chairs faced the marble stage, where banners proclaimed, "Class of '25, in bold gold lettering. Maya and Leah sat side by side, caps in hand, their tassels swaying gently in the breeze, each heartbeat echoing the journey that had brought them here. When Headmaster Wallace stepped to the podium, he paused, scanning the sea of faces before settling his gaze on the Nguyen sisters. "This year, we witnessed something extraordinary," he began, voice resonant. "Two newcomers faced prejudice and division, and transformed this community through courage, compassion, and leadership." Applause rippled through the crowd like waves, and Maya felt Leah squeeze her hand with a smile. As their names were called, Maya rose first. She walked forward beneath the soaring arches, each step a testament to every insult endured, every technique mastered, and every silent promise kept. At the stage's edge, Leah joined her, their hands brushing in a quiet affirmation of unity and strength. After diplomas were handed out, the ceremony closed with the traditional hawk release, dozens of white dovehawks soaring upward, wings catching the sunlight. The assembled students and faculty watched as the birds looped against the sky, free. Later, families gathered on the quad. Daniel Nguyen wrapped an arm around each daughter, pride shining in his eyes. "You changed Hawthorne Ridge," he said, voice thick with emotion. "Not by fighting others, but by lifting everyone with you." Maya leaned into his shoulder, Leah looked out at the fluttering banners, heart full. Jackson Prescott approached, offering both sisters a shy smile and an olive branch of friendship. Emma and Marco stood nearby, chatting excitedly about summer plans. The academy that had once felt like a fortress of exclusion now pulsed with genuine connection, proof that a single storm, met with resilience, can wash away old divisions and bring new growth. As dusk settled, lanterns were lit along the pathways, casting a warm glow over students milling in small groups. Maya and Lia paused beneath the ancient oak tree, once a silent witness to their struggles, now a symbol of endurance. Together, they reached out, touching its rough bark. They had not only survived Hawthorne Ridge, they had reshaped it.